Bizarre Brain Comics. Oh, hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. Oh, and this time we're going to take a look at this book. This is WCW World Championship Wrestling #1 from 1992. It's Marvel Comics in photo cover. I guess they all had photo covers. I never really read this, and I remember watching some WCW wrestling, and not a whole lot, and of course it kind of. Yeah, it was enjoyable. And I think I had one other issue from this series, which lasted 12 issues, 92 and 93. And this was written by Mike Lackey. Mike Lackey, with pencils by Ron Wilson and inks by Don Hooden. And of those, Ron Wilson is the only one that I am familiar with. So it has some nice artwork here. And for those who may not remember the WCW, it was a wrestling federation. What had happened apparently in the late 80s, Ted Turner bought up a bunch of regional wrestling organizations and put them all together into one, which became World Championship Wrestling, in direct opposition to the WWF, which is now WWE. And it lasted a few years, but eventually went bye-bye. And here on the cover, it was the champion at the time, I guess, and was a big draw for WCW, is Lex Luger said. So here it is, our first body slamming collector's issue. It's an all-out battle royal for a shot at the title. Will any man beat WCW champ Lex Luger? Of course, he's a wrestler who takes his name inspired, of course, by the Superman villain Lex Luthor. And in fact, the first time I ever saw or even heard of Lex Luger was when he had a guest spot on the syndicated Superboy TV series in the early 90s. So that's kind of funny here. And from what I understand, he was originally supposed to be a continuing storyline, of course, in the comics. But I guess shortly after the first couple of issues came out, he jumped ship from WCW over to WWF, and so then he soon disappeared from the comics. And these, this basically, from the way I understand it, basically it showed activities in the ring and some stuff out of the ring, and they had some extra villains or something. I don't know. I haven't gotten them, but reading this is just basically kind of like watching the wrestling match. And here up in the corner box is a still photo of Sting, who is another popular WCW wrestler. And of course, Sting was a good guy. Lex Luger was a heel. And a lot of these, and of course, a lot of the guys are, and we'll just get into it here. Look at them. Great splash page, good drawing of Lex Luger, and You can see all the crowd here. Here's the ring, and introducing the wrestlers, because this is a battle royal, or all these wrestlers going head to head, en masse, a melee in the ring, and they're going to, and the winner is supposed to then get a shot at the title with Lex Luger. And it shows a lot of these, like Ron Simmons, the Steiner Brothers, Diamond Stud, the Z-Man, Tom Zenk, Barry Windham, Johnny B. Bad. And then, of course, down here is Sting, who is the good guy, and all the kids are around there. So it really plays on the popularity of these guys with the kids. And then all our narration is going to be done by our ringside announcers, who are Jim Ross, Missy Hyatt, and Paulie Dangerously. And so it's just kind of like watching it. And there they are getting started in the ring. Now I watched a melee, watched a WCW melee, probably 35 years or so ago. I won some tickets from a radio station, and I took a friend's two boys. You see, we had a good time, but part of it was a melee like this, and you're surprised. Oh, initially there's no problem. Guys are getting thrown out right and left, but as it progressed, to make a better show, it progressively got more difficult to throw the guys out, which is kind of funny. And here they're all introducing themselves, and we get a little characterization, very little bit. It's mostly wham wham. It's all action, comic book type fare, even though it's this visually isn't told nearly as well as it would be for a standard comic book, because there's just so much going on. And we get to find who's like this big guy, and there's another one called El Gigante. Or is this him? He's just so huge, and they of course gang up on him. You know, they get several of them together, and they gang up on like the biggest ones, or the single most threatening ones they use together, and so alliances are forged and dissolved in moments. Flying, and some of them have it's just wham 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 wham, and and we get some like the heels are cheating, and even the good guys have to come around to do some cheating stuff. It's the only way to fight back against it. And then in the starts here, these guys in shadowy figures in coats and hats come clear down, big guys, and they push kids out of the way and take their seats and stuff. Well, stuff's going on. Here's Sting. He says, "What? Nobody bad mouths the Stigger." And he goes to throw, and then you see stuff like this. Johnny Bad gets thrown out. Ooh! But he catches onto the rope. His feet don't touch the ground outside the ring, so he is still in. He climbs back in, and just wham, 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 people throwing, and we see how one of the Steiner brothers, while they're working for themselves, certain loyalty, when one of them is thrown out and he hurts himself, and his brother sacrifices himself to come out and help his brother, and stuff like that. But some good, pretty decent representation of the individual wrestlers as much as you can, and go fight, and they get the ringside announcers doing their thing, guys cheating, alliances made and dissolved, and even friendships may be broken up. Just look at that. That's a great drawing right there. Some nice, real nice draftsmanship. And they kind of have to push the bounds of reality again to look good in drawing, of course. Even though Sting is the favorite, he winds up getting tossed out, and it's down to two guys, and it is is Johnny B. Bad and Ron Simmons, and Ron Simmons is the winner. But then the secretive guys who were down in front, and here I forgot to mention though that the stakes in this were that the winner will get a trophy and a check for his whatever charity he wants to donate to, and will go to his charity and stuff. But Johnny B. Bad is beaten there by Ron Simmons, and then the hat and coat comes off, and it's Lex Luger, and he comes up, gets into the ring, and up behind Ron Simmons, grabs the trophy and smacks him over the head, and then shatters the trophy, grabs the check for charity and tears it up, throws it out like confetti. Oh, and then he says, I told you, I warned you. Anybody, whoever, I would cripple whoever won this thing, and I'm true to my word. And he walks off, and everyone's booing him. The next issue is heel, and here you can see some of the. You'll be seeing stars. World Championship Wrestling has some pictures of some of them up there, and it's kind of fun. I mean, I can see why it didn't last. I think something like that would be better if they had more, less of in the ring stuff and more outside the ring stuff going on. But that's my personal opinion. So, anyway, that's all I have to share with you with WCW Wrestling number 1, 1992. So I want to thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe, leave your comments down below. Do you remember this run? Do you remember watching some WCW wrestling? And when I went to those wrestling matches a couple times, it was fun. And I tell you though, but in real life, it looks faker than it does on TV. Honestly, that stuff does. And I don't want, these guys are great athletes, and don't want to badmouth them that. And I have a friend who is a part-time, or was a part-time professional wrestler, but it was small time stuff, and it was real. I mean, real competition, because it didn't have all the stories and the kayfabe and stuff like you have in these. But anyway, thank you for joining me. And remember, even if it's a photo cover, comics are art.